Hello everyone, welcome to my pickups video of November of 2022. There's no reason to watch these videos in any specific order, but this is just the month that all of these pickups are from. The first pickup was from a Danish game store called Nesboss. They're usually quite expensive, but they just had a Halloween sale which I jumped on. But still, there was enough here to get me free shipping, so that says something about how much I bought. The total is in the corner. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'll find out. Anyway, the first thing that, not the first thing that I found, but the first thing that I took out of this box just now was a copy of Daxter on the PSP. It is complete and in decent shape. I already had a copy, but mine is the Platinum re-release, so I'm happy to upgrade to this. I'll be selling my old one. Then we have the manual for a Game Gear, and by the way, these prices that you'll see throughout the videos are for the most part incorrect because of the sale that they were having. So I didn't pay 25 for this, I paid 18 and a half probably. Yeah, I got a Game Gear not long ago and now I have a Game Gear with the manual. One step closer to complete. Speaking of Game Gear, I have another game for it. Now I do still need to have it recapped and possibly replace the screen, but now I have something to look forward to when I get that done. Next up we have this extension cable for Sega Master System, Mega Drive / Genesis, or anything which uses that standard port, so also old Atari consoles, but I don't have any of those. This is nice to get because especially Master System controllers have really short cables, and I sit a good bit away from my TV when playing those, so this is nice to get. Then we have two 3DS games, Pilot Wings Resort, which I've been wanting for a while. I don't have a lot of 3DS games in my own collection, so this will be the fourth, I think. Sorry, it is the fifth game in my collection of 3DS games, and this one will be the sixth. I have played the original Lego City Undercover on PS4, and it's one of the few games that I've actually finished and I really liked it. I was happy to get this prequel on the 3DS. The prequel is only on 3DS while the main game is on a bunch of different platforms. Speaking of 3DS, I now have a stylus for my 3DS. It's not the original one, but who cares, now I have one. It feels naked without a stylus. Then we have a copy of Marble Madness, which as you can tell is the American version by the American age rating, and it's very blurry, but right there it says USA instead of EUR or whatever it would say on a European copy. Kind of neat that it's the American version instead of the expected European one. Doesn't really matter because the Game Boy Color is region free, so I can play it no matter what. Speaking of Game Boy, we have a manual for the Game Boy, and yes, I see that there has been drawn on it, but it was heavily discounted because of that. And something I didn't know is it came with one of those warning booklets about epilepsy and such, and don't play too long, take breaks, such stuff like that. Now my Game Boy, just like the Game Gear, is one step closer to being complete. Then we have a RGB SCART cable for the GameCube, which is not original, but it works fine. At least I'm told so. I haven't tested it yet. Now it gets to something really cool. A complete N64 game. I gotta get a box protector for this. I've checked and everything is in there, but the box is a little beat up, as you might be able to tell. More N64. My N64 is now fully complete because I had the console of course and the box, but now I also have the manual for it. Here's some more N64 stuff. This will work both on N64 and GameCube. Now why would I get an RF adapter for the GameCube and N64 of all things when I just got the RGB cable? That's the exact opposite. This one is for normal use, but I like to have the RF cables also because then I can play all of my consoles on this thing, which only takes RF, and it's just kind of fun to see. Also a waste of money, but hey, that's just how it is. Another complete game here is Tetris Attack. For some reason this one included a box protector, while Blast Corps didn't. I don't know why. Also, I wasn't told that any of these would include box protectors, so it's just a bonus. When I open up this thing, it is absolutely mint. Not a single scratch, dent or any sort of damage anywhere. Except on the outer box, it is a bit sticky around here because there probably was a sticker above the barcode here at some point which had been removed. The game looks like it has never been used, so this one I'm really happy to get. Speaking of like new Super Nintendo games, we have a brand new Super Nintendo game. This is a 2017 re-release of 4 original Super Nintendo games. This cost me about the same as just one of these would have cost me. So it might not be completely original, but hey, it's a lot cheaper. Then there lastly was a manual for Super Game Boy, which is now one step closer to being complete. Not that I had the box for the Super Game Boy, but it was just kinda cool to have because it has so many features that it's just nice to have a manual to look through. And lastly, something I really like about this store is they also always include a little Haribo snack. And before I forget, the box they shipped it all in was this thing from Hyperkin. This is technically gaming related because Hyperkin makes third-party consoles and controllers, and this box is the shipping box for 10 HDMI cables that work for GameCube, N64 and Super Nintendo. Kinda cool that I have this, but not really useful for anything. Next up is another pickup which is much smaller but also very cool. It is Mario Paint on the Super Nintendo, which I've been wanting for a long while now. I often find the game for cheap, but it's very rare that I also find the mouse for sale, and this time I did, because if you didn't know, Mario Paint requires the mouse to play properly. Not only was there the mouse, but also the box, which is really cool. The guy that sold me this then proceeded to ask if I was interested in another game of his, which is Troddlers, which as you can see, I bought that. I got both of them for I think around 400. It will be in the corner right there. With shipping. This is the Spanish version, unfortunately. The reason that's unfortunate is because I don't speak Spanish. This one is the British version, and my dream version of this pickup. They would both be Scandinavian because that's where I live, but it's still really cool to have these games complete. This also uses the Super Nintendo mouse, hence why he asked me if I wanted to buy this one with it. Initially I wasn't interested because I hadn't heard of it before, but I looked it up and apparently it's a very well hidden gem, and it is very much like the franchise Lemmings, so this is another good one. None of these have the manuals, unfortunately, and this one is even missing the inlay, so when you open it up it's just empty inside. Anyway, really cool pickup. The next pickup is from a store called Nintendo Push-On, and the total will be in the corner again because I still don't remember it. The first thing that I bought was not this. This is just here to demonstrate, because I bought a ton of different box protectors, because it's been a while since I last got box protectors, so I have a lot of boxes which were unprotected, and now they all become nice like this one. I'm not going to go fetch all of the box protectors because I've already put them on the games, but they look like that. They're just different sizes. I also got this. This is a brand new third-party inlay for Super Nintendo games. So the cartridge goes in that spot right here, and then the manual goes on either that or that side inside of the box. This was what was missing from the Mario Paint box, but this isn't the correct size. They don't have one for Mario Paint. This is for another game which was missing the inlay. Then we have 2 of these Game Boy cases because I am running out, and I usually have one for each of my Game Boy games. Also one for a Game Gear game, because I bought another one earlier in this episode. Next up we have something which I really should have bought earlier, but here it is, a screen protector for my Nintendo Switch. Can't go around having one of the most expensive consoles I own without a screen protector on, can I? Apparently I can for the last 2 years or so, but from this day onwards I won't anymore. Then we have this cool thing. This is the light gun for the Sega Master System. I already have 2 light gun games that I've been waiting to try out because I simply wasn't able to play them. One was Safari Hunt, which is built into the Master System, and the other one is Operation Wolf. Then we have this, an action replay for the Nintendo 64. Already have cheat devices for NES and Sega Mega Drive / Genesis, and I think they're really fun to play around with, so I got this one. I haven't seen it before on the Danish market, so I thought now was the time to get it if ever. Then we have some of these things for NES games, 1 with logo and 2 without. If you didn't know, the ones with the logo are for first party games released by Nintendo, and all the other ones had without logos. Then we have 2 Sega Master System games. One was a third game which I can use with the light gun. It is complete. The other one is World Grand Prix, which I got for cheap because it was missing the manual. At least I was told so. But when it arrived, it did have the manual, but I wasn't charged anything for the manual. That's a good bonus, I guess. Then we have another Sega related thing, but much newer. This is Streets of Rage 4 Anniversary Edition. I've been wanting the new Streets of Rage game ever since I first found out it existed, and now I own it. Then we have another 3DS game. My 3DS collection is growing. Initially I wanted this for the Switch, but then I found out that it is really made to be played with a stylus, so why not just get the cheaper 3DS version, because that uses a stylus instead of the touchscreen. And lastly we have a cheap but hopefully fun complete GBA game. Something nice about the store is they always include box protectors with their games. That is something which doesn't really happen with other stores. As you saw earlier, it was kind of a gamble if there was one included. And here is a very small pickup, if you can even call it that, to end this video off. This is not the last thing of the month, but it's the last thing that I'm gonna include in this part of the video. There's gonna be a part 2, because there's still a lot coming. I finally managed to get my Xbox 360 to go online, meaning that I could log into Xbox Live and I could download DLC for the first time. So I got a DLC case which I don't remember the name of, but it will be somewhere on the screen. I paid 28 kroner for it, which I think is a little expensive, but you can't haggle on an online marketplace like that, so I just paid that much. But it was really fun to play through. I've already played it, and I'm definitely going to get some of the other DLC cases. Anyway, that was part 1 of this episode. Stay tuned for part 2, and thank you for watching.